Search crews in Alabama have spent this day looking through tornado wreckage, hoping to find nothing. Sunday's storm ripped everything it hit, with winds of 170 miles an hour. At least 23 people were killed, making it the deadliest tornado in the United States in 6 years. In Beauregard, Alabama, homes have been reduced to piles of debris along a county highway. The deadly tornado tore through this rural community just 60 miles northeast of Montgomery, near the Georgia border, on Sunday. The storm cut a path nearly 1 mile wide and 24 miles long after touching down. It snapped pine trees in half, wrapped metal siding around their trunks, and ripped down power lines and a cell phone tower, now splayed across the highway. Kevin and Becky Boyd were inside their mobile home when the tornado hit.
I got under the bed and the trailer's upside down in the backyard on top of my shed.
I felt it rolling. I tumbled over and ended up on my stomach. And I had to crawl out once I could get my legs straightened, and he lifted stuff off of me.
The Boyds escaped serious injury, but at least one of their neighbors was killed.
It looks almost as if someone took a giant knife and just scraped the ground. There are slabs where homes formerly stood. There are debris everywhere.
Lee County Sheriff Jay Jones warned today that the death toll is likely to rise as rescue and recovery efforts continue.
I have not seen this level of destruction ever in my experience here in Lee County.
Overall, the tornado that struck Alabama was one of more than a dozen to hit parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida over the weekend.
When you get into this kind of range, like 165 miles an hour, you start to see not only exterior walls that collapse on well-built homes, but you also start to see the interior walls. So
Kevin Laws is chief scientist at the National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama. He says the storm quickly intensified after a front of cold Arctic air slammed into warm, humid southern air. And while warnings went out, Laws says homes in the area are simply not built to sustain such a storm.
The teams are out assessing where a lot of manufactured homes once were are now completely destroyed. So if you're in one of those homes, it's probably about the worst place you can possibly be.
Just across the state line from Beauregard, in Georgia, another tornado touched down in Talbot County, about 80 miles south of Atlanta. Today, residents surveyed what was left, picking up clothing and other personal items, some thrown hundreds of feet from their yard. One woman said she prayed for her family as the tornado blew through.
My babies, I just covered them just like this and calling on Jesus. Just kept saying, Jesus, cover us, Jesus.
A handful of Georgians were hurt, but Governor Brian Kemp today said the state escaped the worst.
We certainly dodged a bullet, and we're thankful for that.
Back in Alabama, rescue efforts are continuing, but the storm system brought freezing temperatures in its wake, and some 8,000 people are without power. And now for an on-the-ground report, we're joined on the phone by Jeremy Redmon of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He's in Lee County, Alabama today. Jeremy, thank you very much for being here. The pictures that we are seeing of the devastation there are just horrible. I wonder if you could give us a sense of what you're seeing on the ground now.
Yeah, the sheriff here, Jay Jones, gave an adequate description, I thought. He said it looked like someone had taken a knife and scraped the ground with it. I went out there today in Beauregard, the hardest hit area, and there's this yellow insulation hanging from the trees. One house has got a Coca-Cola truck up on its side in the front yard. Some homes were just completely destroyed, the roofs taken off, cars on their sides. It's pretty grim.
And we're hearing that the number of victims is expected to go up as search and rescue efforts continue. Can you tell us about the people that we already know who have been killed in this tragedy?
Yeah, unfortunately, they've said that 23 people have been killed. Among them are 3 children, ages 6, 9, and 10. They've not identified any of them. The oldest is in the 70s or 80s, I understand. But it's still certainly possible, they're telling us, as they comb through the wreckage, that they may find more.
And as you've been hearing from people that you're talking to who obviously survived this storm, what kind of stories have they been telling you?
Yeah, it's pretty harrowing. Stories of people scrambling to get into their bathroom and the bathtub and the closet. The sound of a freight train is how they described the tornado coming. People are openly weeping here. There's just a lot of stunned expressions. People are still grappling with the devastation that has hit their community.
And I understand it's quite cold there now, and there's still thousands of people without power. More broadly, how are people holding up?
Yeah, it was really striking. This morning around 10:30, there were dozens of people that filed into the Beauregard High School gymnasium, stood in a circle and held hands and led a prayer. There were people openly crying during the service, but it was certainly a sign of solidarity.
And I understand you heard from one local reverend and about what happened to his particular family.
Certainly. So this is Providence Baptist Church that is serving as a shelter for storm victims. The associate pastor there, Chuck Adams, said he got an urgent call from his daughter that her future father-in-law was trapped underneath the wreckage of his own home in the Beauregard area. His family apparently had taken shelter in their house. The storm took the home, this is a modular home, and threw it 70 yards, according to Reverend Adams, destroying it and trapping this Alabama State Trooper, Robbie Burrows, underneath the debris. He was rescued, but he suffered serious injuries, a concussion, broken ribs, and a back injury.
All right, Jeremy Redmon of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, thank you very much.
My pleasure.